What are you going to do tomorrow? What are you and Ariana going to do tomorrow morning when you wake up knowing there's no more shows to go to?
You know what? I am gonna be on my way back to New York tomorrow morning or tonight, and I don't know. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna breathe a big sigh of relief because what a beautiful thing this has been. She's accomplished something really amazing. I'm so proud of her.
What if Ariana Grande's most headline-making romances aren't coincidences at all, but part of a pattern? One where she walks straight into the chaos of other people's marriages, turns the scandal into spotlight energy, and then quietly walks away once the fire burns out? Because the timing, the behavior, and the trail of broken relationships are starting to look less like bad luck and more like choreography. And right now, as rumors swirl about Ariana moving on from Ethan Slater to yet another married man, actor Aaron Taylor Johnson, the question isn't whether it's true, but whether we've seen this playbook before.
We were talking to Ethan just a bit ago, and he was talking about how beautiful it is to hear you and Cynthia sing together, and how beautiful your voices meld together, and how it's been such a gift to everybody throughout this whole cycle to hear you all the time.
And his support has been such a gift as well, so that's really sweet.
We've learned that this latest storm didn't appear out of nowhere. It has been building since late 2022, when Ariana first stepped onto the London set of Wicked. On paper, it was a career revival, a massive two-part adaptation of the Broadway phenomenon, a chance to pivot from pop star to actress again. But behind the musical numbers and emerald backdrops, a more complicated story was taking shape. Both Ariana and her co-star Ethan Slater were married when production began. She to Los Angeles real estate agent Dalton Gomez, he to psychologist Lily J., the high school sweetheart he'd married in 2018. Their son was not yet a year old. By July 2023, both had filed for divorce, and a month later, Ariana and Ethan were photographed together off-set, confirming what insiders had been whispering for weeks. Lily J. broke her silence soon after, and her words made it impossible to treat the affair as harmless gossip. In an essay for The Cut, she described herself as collateral damage in a celebrity narrative she never agreed to join. She wrote about rocking her baby to sleep while the promotion of Wicked filled every screen, calling those days darker than she ever expected. For readers, it was a portrait of a woman blindsided not just by her husband's new relationship, but by the machinery of fame that came with it. When Jay told Page Six that Ariana was not a girl's girl, the quote became a rallying cry across social media, and suddenly the story shifted from romance to reputation. Meanwhile, Ariana leaned into defiance. Her single, Yes And, dropped in early 2024, and the lyrics were impossible to misread. Your business is yours and mine is mine. Why do you care so much who's I ride? It was a direct challenge to the criticism, a declaration that she owed no one an explanation. But by the end of that same year, the tone around the relationship had changed again. Slater gave a glowing interview to GQ in October 2024, calling their love a really beautiful thing and praising her work ethic. He sounded devoted, maybe even grateful. Yet behind that public calm, insiders were already saying something different, that he was drowning in the circus of her life. He had gone from Broadway to global tabloid fixation almost overnight, and the weight of her world was proving heavier than he'd imagined. By the time Ariana walked into the VMAs in September 2025 to accept 2 major awards, she did it alone. There was no mention of Slater in her speeches, no affectionate glance in the crowd, and no shared post afterward. He did quietly repost her win on his story, but the absence spoke louder than the gesture. Within days, reports surfaced that their engagement was over. Sources close to the production of Wicked for Good said they had been on and off for most of the year, with one claiming they're keeping it together until after the movie release. If that timeline sounds familiar, it's because it echoes almost every chapter of Ariana's dating history: an intense beginning, a flood of publicity, then a slow fade once the narrative turns.
Well, it's been a year, and now rumors are swirling that this love is about to off because apparently Ariana sparked a fight right before an award show, which made Ethan stay home with his baby, and he was seen out taking a stroll with Lily's ex-wife. And I just wonder, was it worth it for him to blow up his relationship with his high school sweetheart, who he has a baby with?
We can't ignore how precise the pattern has become. After Big Sean left his fiancée Naya Rivera in 2014, rumors pointed to Ariana waiting in the wings. After her whirlwind engagement to Pete Davidson ended, she married Dalton Gomez in a private ceremony that was supposed to mark a new start, only to file for divorce less than 2 years later. Then came Wicked, and Slater's marriage disintegrated on schedule. Each relationship seems to coincide with a new professional chapter, a burst of creative reinvention, and a surge of media attention. And now, barely months after the Slater fallout, insiders claim Ariana has found comfort with someone whose situation looks eerily similar, Aaron Taylor Johnson. The allegation broke in early October 2025, just weeks after the VMAs. According to two entertainment insiders quoted in industry newsletters, Ariana had been spending time with Taylor Johnson at a private studio in West Hollywood, where both were reportedly involved in upcoming film projects. The claim would have faded like any other rumor, except for one detail. Aaron Taylor Johnson is married to director Sam Taylor Johnson, who is 23 years older than him, and the two met when he was barely 18 on the set of Nowhere Boy. Their relationship has long been the subject of scrutiny for its unconventional beginnings. So when whispers began that Ariana and Aaron were getting close, it struck a deeper chord.
People have crafted their own narratives.
Yeah. The thing is that, like, we know this about the tabloids and about the media and about, like, am I crazy? Don't we know this?
Yeah, but nobody cares for the sake of a good story or for curing one's boredom on the internet.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. It's like we selectively remember that this is what the tabloids do to people, especially women, based on whether or not we like the person.
Observers saw an uncomfortable symmetry. Once again, a man with a long-term partner. Once again, professional overlap turning into speculation. And once again, Ariana emerging just as the previous scandal cooled. Even the language from anonymous sources felt recycled. Phrases like creative chemistry and mutual admiration that tabloids used for her and Slater a year before. It was as if the same script had been pulled out of a drawer and given a new leading man.
Strictly co-workers, professional, and super happy she won. But again, if you watch this interview, the way he's talking about her is just, it's very platonic. It's different than it used to be. Do you think they broke up?
But this time, there's a twist that raises the stakes. Ethan Slater, for all his Broadway credentials, was a newcomer to mainstream fame. Aaron Taylor Johnson is not. He's a Golden Globe-winning actor rumored to be the next James Bond, a man whose public image has been carefully managed by a wife who knows the industry better than most. Sam Taylor Johnson is no background character. She's a director, producer, and strategist who helped build his career. Insiders familiar with her circle suggest she won't let this narrative play out without a fight. Sam understands press cycles, one industry publicist said privately. If Ariana thinks this will play like the Wicked story, she's underestimating the competition. Behind the scenes, representatives for both Ariana and Aaron have declined to comment, but that silence has only fueled more digging. Tabloid photographers have been tracking studio entrances, noting matching vehicles and overlapping schedules. Fans on social media have cross-referenced song lyrics, video cameos, and even the timing of Ariana's recent posts, trying to piece together a hidden connection. The mood online isn't admiration, it's suspicion. We can feel the audience turning, wondering if the self-proclaimed victim of gossip might actually be the architect of it. Every step in this unfolding saga seems to raise the same question. How much of Ariana's romantic life is coincidence, and how much is calculation? Her team has long been known for precision PR timing, announcing relationships just as an album or film peaks, fading away when controversy gets too loud. And as she navigates this new rumor, we can already see the defensive pattern returning. Friends have told entertainment outlets that she's focusing on projects, not people. But the timing, the whisper of a new connection, the perfectly casual studio sightings feels too deliberate to dismiss.
It's just a thing, but we see Ariana brought her family, her mom, brother, dad. So here I feel like usually we would see her waiting with her significant other to hear if she won the award. And if you hear it with the sound, the crowd is going wild. They're saying Ariana Grande when they're announcing people, and bam, she wins, and she's like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. And when Ethan Slater in their interview was asked about her, the way he speaks about her does not seem like they are dating anymore. It seems like they're just...
We've watched this cycle before. Affection, outrage, denial, silence, reinvention. The same rhythm that played out with Big Sean, Pete Davidson, Dalton Gomez, Ethan Slater, now repeating with a man whose marriage has survived more scrutiny than most. And as the story tightens, one unsettling question begins to surface. If Ethan Slater was just the warm-up, the practice run in a string of strategic romances, what does that make Aaron Taylor Johnson? And what happens when the next man in her orbit isn't as easy to walk away from? Sam Taylor Johnson isn't Lily J, and that's exactly what makes this rumor so explosive. When Ethan Slater's ex-wife spoke out, she was a private citizen suddenly dragged into a celebrity circus. But Sam has power, real power, in an industry that protects its own. She's a director with major studio backing, the woman behind 50 Shades of Grey and Amy Winehouse's biopic, someone who's been managing controversy since before Ariana Grande could drive. If the whispers about Ariana's closeness to Sam's husband are even half true, she's not just stepping into another messy love triangle. She's stepping into a political minefield that could make the Slater scandal look like amateur hour.
There are no words to describe what an incredible leader he is, and he's empathy personified. I've never seen someone with higher stakes on their, being placed on their being, handle with such ease and grace and kindness and respect, and reminds me of my grandpa.
We can't ignore the history here. For years, online debates have circled around how Aaron and Sam first met. He was barely out of his teens, acting in her 2009 film Nowhere Boy. She was an established filmmaker more than 2 decades his senior. Critics have used the word grooming to describe it, though both have publicly defended their marriage as built on mutual respect. It's an old wound that Hollywood has tried to move past, and now Ariana's alleged involvement threatens to reopen it in the ugliest way possible. Because if Sam decides to fight this narrative, and every sign suggests she will, she won't just be protecting her husband, she'll be defending her legacy. We've seen this before, when private lives turn into professional warfare. Slater's ex may have written an essay and disappeared from public view, but Sam has access to networks, publicists, and press relationships that Ariana once depended on. Insiders have already hinted that certain entertainment outlets, ones usually friendly to Ariana, have gone unusually quiet about the Taylor Johnson rumor. There's pressure not to touch it, one publicist reportedly said off record, because the wrong story could anger someone higher up the ladder. That kind of silence in this business isn't coincidence, it's coordination.
Really weird, but amazing. It was so fun to do, and I think that kind of thing normally would make me really anxious, but everyone made me feel really comfortable, and so I had a lot of fun. I'm grateful to everybody there.
Good, because you're doing well. I hear you wasn't always like a cover model. Is that what's weird about it? Yeah, I heard your first role was in The Wizard of Oz.
And yet, even as the whispers build, Ariana's career numbers tell another story. Every controversy seems to coincide with a surge in her visibility. Eternal Sunshine topped charts the same week the Wicked affair headlines broke. The film adaptation itself pulled in more than $500 million worldwide, while her romance with Slater dominated social media. The scandal became the marketing, free publicity dressed up as moral outrage. Now, as she rides that same wave into new rumors, the uncomfortable question hangs in the air. Is Ariana orchestrating chaos as career strategy, or is she simply addicted to the spotlight it brings? We've heard from multiple insiders that the two sides of her life, music and mayhem, have become indistinguishable. One former colleague claimed, "She doesn't separate personal stories from professional arcs anymore. It's all one performance." Another close source told a magazine that Slater ended things because he felt exhausted by the end, like he'd been used up. Those words, used up, echo through this new chapter. Because if Ethan, the theater actor who once called her love a beautiful thing, felt drained by her world, what happens when that world collides with someone as high profile and well connected as Aaron Taylor Johnson?
I think I have to do some finalizing of something tomorrow. Got some work tomorrow, so I won't be out too late, and then I'll just get back to work. Yeah. Okay. But I will celebrate and have fun, and this whole thing just feels like a big celebration. Yeah.
Ariana's patterns suggest something deeper than coincidence. We can see it in the rhythm of her public appearances, the tearful interviews followed by empowerment anthems, the quick rebounds that land just as an album drops, the defiance on stage that doubles as a statement to her critics. Every personal crisis turns into content, but insiders whisper about the toll, how behind closed doors she's anxious, restless, constantly rewriting her own narrative before anyone else can. Some even suggest she believes she has to stay controversial to stay alive in an industry where outrage is currency. Meanwhile, those around Aaron Taylor Johnson are reportedly uneasy. He's preparing for a career-defining role, and the optics of being linked to another scandal are dangerous. His wife knows it too. People close to her say she's already drawing boundaries, and that any sign of disloyalty will be met with legal precision. Unlike Lily J., Sam doesn't write essays, she directs stories. If she chooses to respond, she'll control the camera, not the headline. And Ariana, used to being the center of the frame, may find herself edited out of her own narrative. The stakes couldn't be higher. If the rumor fizzles, Ariana emerges again as untouchable. A woman unfairly labeled, misunderstood, and still chart-topping. But if it sticks, if Sam or Aaron breaks silence, it could fracture her carefully rebuilt image just as Wicked's sequel hits theaters. The same media cycle that once fueled her rise could turn on her overnight. Because in Hollywood, the only thing faster than a comeback is a collapse.
Of course, there's like an insatiable frustration, inexplicable, hellish feeling with watching people misunderstand the people you love.
What we can't overlook is how the storm around Ariana's personal life seemed to feed the very machine that powered her comeback. Wicked wasn't just a film adaptation, it became the stage on which her private chaos turned into professional triumph. As the relationship with Ethan Slater dominated headlines, ticket sales surged past $500 million worldwide, and Ariana's face was on every magazine cover, both as the movie's luminous Glinda and as the woman caught in a real-life fairy tale gone wrong. Every interview, every red carpet appearance, and every whisper about her off-screen behavior drove curiosity straight into the box office. The scandal wasn't background noise, it was the soundtrack of her success. When her next project, Eternal Sunshine, dropped in early 2024, it arrived like an answer to the noise, a self-produced confession and carefully managed redemption arc. The album's blend of heartbreak and defiance made it her most successful release in years, streaming numbers climbing with every headline that paired her name with Slater's. Critics praised its emotional honesty, but fans saw something else: a woman transforming public judgment into performance. The same narrative that could have ended her career became fuel for reinvention, and it worked almost too well. The pattern was unmistakable. The bigger the controversy, the bigger the reward. Wicked proved that Scandal could sell not just songs but cinematic universes, that a public reckoning could double as a marketing campaign. Which brings us full circle to her latest alleged entanglement with Aaron Taylor Johnson. If the formula held once, why wouldn't she try it again? So was Wicked just a movie? Or was it the ultimate PR machine turning Ariana's personal life into box office gold? And if it worked once, why wouldn't she do it again? Every piece of this puzzle points to a cycle: success, scandal, survival, and each time the stakes rise. It's not just love stories, it's power plays disguised as passion. And as we watch Ariana dance once more on the edge of another public storm, the line between opportunism and obsession begins to blur. Sources close to her insist she's just unlucky in romance, that the timing is coincidence, that the world reads too much into coincidences. But coincidences rarely repeat this perfectly, because if Ariana's relationships are just storylines in her career, what happens when the script flips and she becomes the villain? When the audience that once defended her starts to root for her downfall? Hollywood has no shortage of redemption arcs, but it also loves a good reckoning. Here's the thing about this town: it rewards chaos, but it punishes the people who create it. Ariana Grande might think she's directing her own drama, but what if the game's already playing her? And when the lights finally fade and the next scandal takes her place, who will be left holding the pieces? What do you think? Can she rewrite the ending one more time, or has this been her final act all along? Thanks for watching, stay curious, and we'll see you in the next story.